All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. We're back once again on this Wednesday to bring y'all some Week 7 winners. We will recap what happened last week in Week 6, crazy week in college football, obviously. Look ahead to this coming up week and then what's going on around the SEC with the games that we haven't talked about up to that point before we get started. We are brought to y'all each and every week by Rhythm, the absolutely best sports handicapping app out there. Y'all can go download Rhythm on Apple or Google Play, sign up and get 7 free days to build your own models, copy models that are performing well, or have their AI build models for you. Sit there and track anything that it suggests. That way you can get a lot of data on it, see which ones are performing well, whether it be total spreads, money lines, gives you a percentage of return on investment as well. So that'd be my suggestion there with that. But go give them a try, sign up, get 7 days free, and start making a little bit of money. And with that, guys, how are we doing today before we dive into the recap?
Doing good, man. Crazy week, which everybody thought that this coming weekend was going to be the crazy college football week, considering the high profile games. But last weekend was just bananas, and I was pretty happy with most of my plays. It was a pretty good week overall.
Yeah. How about you, Hitch? How happy were you with yours?
Exactly the same.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, good job, man. I'm glad. Got bad news for you, though. We're about to do the recap now, and looking at what happened last week, I ended up going 2-2 for minus 0.1 unit, brings me to 12-12 overall, plus 1.56 on the year. And Hitch, tough week, man. This is your second golden sombrero of the year. 0-4 minus 4.3 units brings you down to 11-13 on the year, plus 0.62 units on the year. And the placer of bets, Chad, he has another good week, 3-1 plus 2 units. And overall, 13-11 plus 3-4. So Chad is leading this with plus 3-4. I'm at plus 156. Hitch bringing up the rear at plus 6-2. Good news is we are all still in the positive, though. Everybody's making money so far.
Heck yeah. If it weren't for these plus money plays, I'd be doing great.
Yeah, the only thing I heard there was plus, right? 3 pluses. That's right. The only thing I heard.
Yep. So, Chad, speaking of the plus money plays, if you take those out, then we're actually doing better. Hitch is doing way worse. But I'm 11-7 for plus 3.3 units on the year on the straight plays. You are 12-6 plus 5.4 units on the straight money plays. And Hitch is 9-9. He is actually negative 0.9 units so far on the year with the straight play. So the plus money play is the only thing keeping him in the green so far.
Yeah, I really hope the law of averages isn't a thing. If it is, these next few shows are not going to be fun for your boy here.
Oh no, man, it's fine. Look, I'm Mr. Consistent here. I'm 2-2 every week, just about it. I'll throw a 1-3 or 3-1 to kind of even it out. Y'all are the ones that is hit and miss, high ceiling, sometimes a low floor, especially in Hitch's case so far this year. You did throw an 0-4 out there at one point this year too, though, Chad. So I will give him that.
They're taking swings.
All right, we'll yeah, take your swings, man. Well, let's go ahead and move on and get to our Week 7 winners here. Kind of talk about the games that we like. I'll go ahead and get this thing started. I'm going to start off in Dallas, Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas with the Red River Showdown. This is a game that has always been close, right? You know, even when one team or another has had the far superior team, it's always been a one-score game. Oklahoma's getting 14.5 points going into this thing. And with a defense like Oklahoma, they are an elite defense. They are really, really good on that side of the ball. Never know what you're going to get on the offensive side, right? I assume they're starting the freshmen again this week. That's the way they've gone the last couple of weeks. Both of these teams going off bye, so I imagine they're both going to be pretty locked in. They're going to be prepared. But over 2 touchdowns is too many points for me to lay for a defense as good as Oklahoma. I think Texas ends up winning this game, but if you're going to give me 14.5, I'll go ahead and take the Sooners there.
Yeah, if it was 14, I would probably I like Texas personally only because, yes, I agree Oklahoma's defense is good. I'm more concerned with Oklahoma's offense given the Texas offense too many opportunities. So I could see a pick six or multiple pick sixes. But I like the 14.5. If it was 14, I would be on Texas. It's going to be interesting to see, especially when you see Alabama losing to Vanderbilt last week. Anybody can lose. Texas has been probably, other than Ohio State, the best looking team all season. So I'm really interested to see what they look like.
Yeah, me too.
You're muted, bud.
You're muted, brother.
Yeah, sorry. Neighbor was leaf blowing a while ago. I didn't want it to come through. I like this one. I like the over in this one just simply because it feels like every single year I bet the over, and it feels like year after year it hits. Now, Oklahoma's got a really good defense and Texas is really good. But who knows? But it's only like 50, maybe 49 or 50. But I'm with you on that, Diz, that Oklahoma plus 14.5 is too many points.
Good. All right, Hitch, what's your first one this week?
I am going to go with the team that Chad just mentioned, the Alabama Crimson Tide minus 21. And, I first started looking at this one just simply because I think Alabama's going to be mad. Right. And, we kind of saw South Carolina last week and, maybe some of the flaws that they have. And on offense, I just don't know that they're going to be able to score a whole lot of points. And I think with that pass rush, Milroe may be able to kind of neutralize that with his mobility. And then, he loves to throw the ball deep. And so I think it's a good matchup for the Alabama offense. And I think that they win this one I think it covers without a sweat, but, Alabama minus 21.
I don't see how South Carolina puts up any points. So, yeah, I can't help but agree with you.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. This is a get-right game for Alabama. They're in the spot that Ole Miss was in last week, right? Really tough spot for South Carolina. They get Ole Miss coming into their place off of a loss to Kentucky. Now they got to travel to Tuscaloosa after Alabama went to Nashville and lost to Vanderbilt. They're going to be focused. They're going to be ready for this game. Really good point about Milroe because that pass rush for South Carolina is elite. It's one of the best in the country with those two edge rushers they have. But Milroe can escape the pocket. He can move around. He can avoid those guys. And he has a great arm to get the ball downfield. If you remember, Ole Miss had several shots downfield last weekend that Jackson Dart just wasn't able to make because he was under too much pressure, wasn't able to escape the pocket. I think Milroe's ability to get outside the pocket, get a little bit more time is going to lead some bigger plays. So I like Alabama there minus the points as well. Chad?
My first is I like Texas State against Arkansas State. I got it at 14. I have seen it go up to 14.5. But the Texas State offense is one of the better ones in the Sun Belt for sure, but they can put up points in a hurry. The Arkansas State defense, poor tackling grade from PFF, and they don't really do well run blocking. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up. 14 points is not a lot. It is a home game for Texas State. So I don't think that that's going to be too much trouble for them. So I'll take Texas State 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, hard to argue that. Watch Texas State over the last couple of weeks. They've been really, really impressive, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. They can really put up points. They're a lot of fun to watch. So if y'all haven't watched them, definitely tune in for that. 2 touchdowns does seem a little too low for a team like that, though, against Arkansas State. So I can't argue any of that.
I just realized I'm on like 3 Sun Belt games this week. I like a lot of the Sun Belt games.
Well, that's where the money's at. That's where the money's at, man. That's right. All right, my second pick here, I'm going to go down to the Bayou, the Ole Miss Rebels, and I hate doing this. I don't think I've ever picked Ole Miss anything on this show one way or another. I'm going to do it right now, though. Ole Miss traveling to LSU. I love the under. I've got it at 64. This Ole Miss defense is playing out of its mind. This is going to be the best offense it's faced. Yes. It's going to be the best offensive line it's faced. Yes. Walter Nolan right now is on another level, though. Him, J.J. Pegues, Jared Ivey, Surtain with what he did last week, the linebackers, Dodery and Pooh Paul, they've been playing really, really well. Secondary feels like it's coming alive a little bit too, right? I love the under because of the Ole Miss defense. I think we're going to be able to keep this LSU offense in check. Like I said, it's at 64. I took the under there. And Ole Miss kind of sputters at times on offense, right? I don't know exactly what it is, why it is, right? The offensive line obviously has something to do with it. Need to get guys healthy there, get some guys back, get a little continuity. It's going to be loud there. I think Ole Miss offense struggles just a little bit. I think they score enough to win the game and cover. But the bet I love in this one is the under because I don't think LSU is going to be able to contribute enough to it due to the Ole Miss defense.
I'm on the Rebels myself, and I usually don't bet on Ole Miss, but I just saw a numbers edge with I got it at 3. I don't like it at 3.5 by any stretch of the imagination. But
I got it at 2.5.
Yeah, the Rebel offensive line has not been inspiring, so I could definitely see it sputtering for sure. So I like that play.
Yep.
All right,
I'm not on this one in any way. Next one. I like Washington going to Iowa at plus 2.5.
Yeah.
Iowa has a great defense. We know that their offense is not very good.
We know that.
And I think the Washington defense is good enough to keep that Iowa offense, kind of where it's at. But
they've really been playing better the last couple of weeks in particular.
For sure.
Yeah. And when you look at this Washington, offense, they're like 8th in when it comes to success rate. They rank high when it comes to like stuff rate and line yards, whereas Iowa is on the bottom end of the country. Surprisingly, when it comes to that stuff, they stay in standard downs. They stay ahead of schedule a lot, and so I just think that Washington comes in and maybe even wins this game. But plus 2.5, I think that I like that number. So give me Washington plus 2.5. Oh, I'm sorry. The other thing I wanted to point out about the quarterback at Washington, I'm forgetting his name, the kid from State, right? We watched him play. Will Rogers, right? So Will Rogers this year has 11 big-time throws versus 3 turnover-worthy plays. And those are pretty good numbers against an Iowa defense that the DBs are going to be pretty good. I think, he's a short yardage guy, quick passes. I think he makes good decisions. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Iowa defense, and Washington probably wins the game. So, but I'll take the points right here.
Yeah, I've already got the Huskies on the money line in my account. I like Washington myself. So the only reason I didn't like the 2.5 is I could see it being a field goal game, so I just took the money line. But yeah, I like Washington. I'm staying in the Sun Belt.
I'm the same place as y'all. I like Washington there as well.
I'm staying in the Sun Belt. I'm also on UL Monroe against Southern. I like them at 6.5, but my pick for this is I like Lafayette 10.5. I wish it was at 10, but I like Lafayette 10.5 against App State. It's in Lafayette. I don't think that the App State defense can keep up with that offense for the Cajuns. And you got to consider the angle of everything that's going on in Boone. There may be some distraction. They did play last week. They didn't win. Lafayette has been playing really well. They took Wake Forest down to the wire. They, I think I was on them last week. So I'll take the Cajuns 10.5 at home.
Yeah. I think me and you were both on ULL last week against Wake Forest there. Yeah, they've been playing really well so far this year. I like this as well. App State really, really struggles defensively. We saw that in that South Alabama game. I guess that was 3 weeks ago, something like that. They've really struggled on the back end there, stopping the run in particular. I think ULL gets that thing going. And 10.5 seems way too low here.
Yep.
All right, my third pick here. I've got several written down. Not exactly sure where I want to go.
God, man, I'm in the same boat. I swear to God, I am.
Yeah. There's several I like, none I absolutely love. Already talked about the Ole Miss game, so I'm not going to do that one. Give me the Syracuse Orange -4.5 at North Carolina State. They have played really, really well these last few weeks. I've watched them several times. McCord, the Ohio State transfer, their quarterback, really seems to have figured some things out since he's gotten there. And North Carolina State, I know I've talked about it a couple times on this show already this year. I'm just not a believer in them. I'm not impressed. Every single time I watch them, they've still got that true freshman starting for them. Syracuse, if you're going to give me them under a touchdown, I think this should have been a probably double-digit line with the way the Orange have been playing. They run the ball well, they throw the ball well, and the defense isn't just great. But man, when you watch them play, they are really physical up front, and that's going to take the toll over a 4-quarter game. So 4.5, I really like that there. So I'm going to go with Orange minus 4.5 in Raleigh.
Yeah, I'm on that game too with you. I told you, NC State has been just dreadful.
They have.
So I don't see how they can put together anything that's going to keep up with the Q's offense. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Man, I sure as hell am glad that I'm not the crazy one. Syracuse minus 4.5. That's my play, right? Like I like it. And you laid it out there, Dids. The Syracuse defense, when you look at numbers, they're not great or eye popping, but what they do is they do cause havoc, both in the front seven and the DBs. And something that NC State does is they do not protect against havoc very well. At all, especially the front seven of that pass rush. So, I think the front seven we'll say Grayson McCall, excuse me, is questionable, but I don't think that he plays. This is like his 14th concussion in the past 8 days, maybe. And CJ Bailey's a freshman, on the season. He's been probably fine, but the Syracuse defensive line's going to get after him. And, I called it out just a second ago. With Will Rogers, but I'll do the same with CJ Bailey. 2 big time throws versus 8 turnover worthy plays. It's flipped. So I think that the Syracuse defensive line gets after you and makes some mistakes. Kyle McCord, on the other hand, right? He handled the UNLV DBs last week, who grade out on PFF at 90.4. He handled them 40 for 63, 355, 3 touchdowns. And also, I think this is a must win for Syracuse if they want to stay in the race for the ACC. Syracuse minus 4.5. It's already gone up to 5 since we started recording. So I'm 4.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is that your third play too?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
So I had a few to choose from. Yeah, I had a few to choose from. I like Iowa State at West Virginia this week. I like a few other ones, but I'm going Penn State against USC. Sure. I got it at 5. It's up to 5.5 now. 5.5 would still be fine with me. I just look at it from a defensive perspective. USC, they're below 50% pass blocking grade, and Penn State's defense. We can say whatever we want to about Big Ten offenses. The Penn State defense is good. And I don't think that the USC offense is going to be able to slow down that pass rush enough. And Penn State's playing really well. So I'll take the minus 5. And, USC's coming off getting into that conference schedule. It's a different style of football. We'll see how beat up they are going in. But, I'll take Nittany Lions minus 5 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, this is one that I really like, too. I was really looking at Penn State here. I know they're having to travel, across country or whatever, if you want to play that narrative. But I know what I've seen so far. Penn State is a legitimately good team, and they will get after your ass on defense. And Drew Aller, as much hell as I have him coming into the season, he's obviously improved from the last time we saw him in that bowl game against Ole Miss. He's been better than fine. He's been good. The offense can get rolling a little bit here and there. And I'm just not a believer in USC and what Lincoln Riley is doing out there. So, if this anything under a touchdown, I'm going to be on the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, he's the difference. Allers this year, his arm has been the difference for Penn State. I watched it the first game they played, maybe West Virginia, right? And just knowing that he was going to go into this game and West Virginia was going to win. And he looked like a completely different quarterback than he did in that bowl game last year. So he's been the difference.
And Andy's able to make plays with his feet too. That's something else he's been able to do so far this year. So looks like a completely different player than we saw in that bowl game. So props to him for that. Going into our plus money plays, again, didn't like just a whole lot this week. So I went with a straight rhythm play here. I've got 3 models. All 3 models suggested this underdog to win outright. So give me Middle Tennessee State at La Tech. I know that Middle Tennessee State has this wide receiver that is leading the conference in receiving yards at this point. They're not huge underdogs, plus 167. But I asked Jenny on the way home here what she thought about Middle Tennessee State, and she said, Dad, you've got to take the Blue Raiders there. So that's why I'm going with it. Jeannie and Rhythm both said MTSU, didn't you?
That's smart. I get it.
See?
I agree with Jeannie wholeheartedly here. I think that's a smart play.
Good. Winner of bets agreed with you, Jeannie. Good job. Go play.
Okay. All right,
All right.
for sure.
Love you too, Zadie.
I was looking at it, and really there's only one on the board that I even thought about, and it's Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to the value that comes with it, there are some that I like that are short favorites that I think would be probably winners. But I mean, when you look at what Vanderbilt's done this year, beating Virginia Tech, beating Alabama, I know, hey, you've got the huge letdown of beating Alabama, having to go to Kentucky. I don't know. Clark Lee seems like the kind of guy who's not going to let that happen. And we saw that defensive line, Kentucky's defensive line against the Rebels. And, we know how good that defense was. But Diego Pavia is a difference maker. And just kind of like I talked about Milroe, he can make some plays. Who knows? Give me Vanderbilt at plus 405.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will actually add a little bit to that, Hitch, because I was big on taking Kentucky here as long as it stayed under 2 touchdowns, because that seems so enticing. They were wanting you to get on Vanderbilt with such a huge spread, right? Big letdown, like you said. They haven't had a win like this in God knows how long at Vanderbilt.
Ever.
But right before we started recording, I saw a quote from Diego Pavia. I think he was on the Paul Feinbaum show. I think's where it came from. He texted the entire Vanderbilt team and told them they had to get their head right. Last week was last week. They had to move on. They've got a big game this week because there's no national championship in their future if they don't win this game. So Diego's getting them boys right. So give me the Commodores going up to Lexington as well.
Hey, Vandy's turn. Let's go. Give me Vanderbilt plus 405.
So I am not. That is not my plus money play. I'm taking Rice on the money line against UTSA. So they are. I got it at 185. They're 5.5 plus dog at home, and I don't think that UTSA has any business laying this many points. When you just consider the PFF grades, they are 56% coverage. Rice likes to throw the ball. They are a wonderful pass blocking team, and it's at Rice, right? It's in Houston. So I'll just take. I had it as a toss up in my number, so I'll take the Owls.
Yeah. Anytime you get that kind of value, when the number suggests that it should be a lot closer, you might as well go ahead and take the money line there. Go ahead and take your shot. So maybe the Owls can pull it out for you. Before we get out of here, we're going to take a look around the SEC, talk about some of the games we haven't talked about yet, and kind of give our leans a little bit. Keep in mind that Hitch was the only one that leaned Alabama last weekend. Me and Chad both went Vanderbilt. If you have to go back and listen really close, but you could hear me and Chad actually telling you to take the Vanderbilt money line as well. We were saying it real low under our breaths, but we did give that out. If you want to go back and listen real close, turn the volume all the way up.
I'd be willing to bet, Dids, if you went back and listened to it, then there's probably a lot of plays that Hitch went the wrong way on. That's just my guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
probably so. Yeah. I would assume so as well. Already talked about Texas and Oklahoma. Talked briefly about Ole Miss and LSU, but mainly the total. Right now, it sits at -3. Is what it was when we hopped on here to start recording. I don't know if it's gone up since then. I like Ole Miss by at least a touchdown this weekend. Again, we talked about the defense. I think they're going to start with this LSU offense. I do think Ole Miss will struggle here and there, but this is not a very good LSU defense that we're going to be going against. Lane Kiffin has consistently had success against this LSU defense. I think he finds a way to put up enough points to cover such a small spread like this.
Yeah, I'm on the Rebels. I agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not on the Rebels. I try to make it a point not to ever bet on them. But if I were to bet on them, or if I were to bet this game, it would be the Rebels. I don't see how you could bet LSU with the way that defense gives up points.
Yeah, totally agree. Next one on the docket, Missouri. God bless whoever scheduled this game, is traveling to UMass for whatever reason. And they are laying 27.5 points to the Minutemen. Missouri better figure some things out quick because it feels like it's really spiraling, right? Really struggled with Vanderbilt, which doesn't look near as bad now. Struggled in a non-conference game earlier this year as well against Boston College, who I think is a pretty good team. They're fine, but Missouri needs to come out and make a statement here. For that reason alone, I will lean with Missouri in the 27.5, but I have no faith in it whatsoever.
My number's like UMass, so I'll lean UMass. It's an ugly number. It's going to be a game I have no interest in, but I'll take UMass.
Yeah, same. I'll take UMass. I watched some Missouri Saturday, and I didn't like it.
I could see this being a hangover for them too.
Yeah, totally get it. We talked about South Carolina at Bama. Obviously, Hitch took Alabama. I know I said I liked Alabama. Did you give an opinion one way or another on that?
I would lean Alabama too.
Okay. All right. This one I think is pretty interesting, actually. Not from an outcome standpoint. Mississippi State's traveling to Athens and getting 34 points. I actually really like the Bulldogs here. The Mississippi State Bulldogs here to stay within the 34 points. Georgia's got a really tough schedule coming up ahead of them. I don't think they're too worried about Mississippi State, and almost 7 touchdowns is a little bit much for me to get behind here. So I will lean with Mississippi State and the 34 points here.
Same here. Georgia has Texas next week. So
yeah. And then games against obviously Ole Miss in a few weeks, and then I want to say there's Tennessee in between that
and
too,
Florida.
Right? There you go. Lot bigger fish to fry in Athens than the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and that's just a ton of points. The Florida Gators traveling to Tennessee. Tennessee coming off that loss in Fayetteville, and Florida's getting 15.5 points. It seems like a really big number. I'm not sure if Florida's figured anything out yet or not. I just don't know what to make of them. But again, a number that big in this league, I'm just inclined to lay anything over 2 touchdowns damn near.
Yep, I'm the same way, especially after last week. I mean, I do think that Tennessee is still a very good team. But I was surprised at how Florida played against UCF. They played pretty well. I don't
know what to make of them.
Yeah, I'll lean Gators.
Yeah, I'll be the outlier here. I'll take Tennessee.
Okay.
I don't know, for the same reason maybe I took Alabama earlier, right? Maybe they're mad and take it out on Florida. In a place that traditionally is a big game, but this year isn't. Maybe they go down there and womp on them.
Yeah, and it's classically a rivalry game, right? When you talk about the 90s and a little bit of the 2000s as well. So going to be a big atmosphere there in Knoxville. And then the last one on the docket this weekend for as far as SEC goes, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Vanderbilt going to Tennessee plus 13.5. I know me and Hitch both said that we will take Vanderbilt there. Are you kind of leaning the same way, Chad, or are you going to take the Wildcats under 2 touchdowns?
I don't see. I just think 2 touchdowns. I think that anything over 10 is too much for that Kentucky offense, right? So I'm not going to get on the money line, but I do like Vanderbilt into 13.5.
Okay. Very good. Well, we only disagreed on looks like 2 games so far here in the SEC play. So be interesting to see how that ends up playing out as Saturday comes and goes. Huge slate. You get Ohio State traveling to Oregon. We talked about Penn State going to USC as well. Ole Miss, LSU, Florida, Tennessee. This is the weekend we've been looking forward to in college football all year long. So go get you plenty of meat to throw on the grill. Get you a case of beer or your bottle of bourbon, whatever. Sit back and enjoy this one because this is going to be some of the best TV watching that you're going to have all year long. We appreciate everybody tuning in each and every week like y'all always do. Hopefully we're able to help y'all make decisions, maybe even make a little bit of money along the way. So, but until then, we will come back and join y'all again next Wednesday, go over what happened in week 7, look at week 8, and hopefully the Rebels have a big win for it to talk about as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hi,
I'm on the under tonight. See ya.
Oh, okay. Under tonight. Gotcha. Hi, Toddy.